The numbers are out, and Minnesota lawmakers face a $1.1 billion budget deficit for the next biennium.
The state's Management and Budget Office released the economic forecast today at the state capitol, and that's where Delane Cleveland joins us live now with more on what the numbers mean. Delane?
Yeah, Mike, well, the bad news is that there's a $1.1 billion deficit, but the good news is that the state of Minnesota will be able to pay back more than $1 billion that it owes to the public schools. One glaring question, though, is what the state's going to do about the possible fiscal cliff.
There is no relief in sight for our fiscal woes.
This morning at the state capitol, the economic forecast unveiled by state budget officials paints an uncertain picture of what lies ahead for state lawmakers.
Our projections show that the state still has some heavy lifting to do just to get the budget into balance.
The $1.1 billion deficit is a direct result of a mismatch between state revenues and ongoing spending commitments, something that local lawmakers acknowledge they'll have to address this coming session.
We have a commitment that we want to get the state of Minnesota off the roller coaster that we've been on going back several years to stabilize the budget.
Exactly how the legislature is able to get the state off that financial roller coaster remains to be seen. Republican lawmaker Sarah Anderson of Plymouth says it shouldn't be all about raising taxes.
You can raise all the taxes that you want, but if your spending is out of control, you're still going to have the same problem a year from now, 2 years from now, and 10 years from now.
One positive note is that the state will be able to repay $1.3 billion that had been borrowed from public schools to balance the state budget.
Well, the big winners here were the school districts in terms of a much bigger payback than what we had originally anticipated.
However, there's a more short-term problem facing the state.
The fiscal cliff is ultimate gloom.
The so-called fiscal cliff of federal tax hikes and spending cuts that could take effect leaves a cloud of uncertainty over the state budget.
I think the bottom line is there's going to be impact as we get to January 1 and beyond that.
An impact that would include job losses and a loss of tax revenue for the state if Congress doesn't act. Yet despite the threat of the fiscal cliff, state economists maintain this isn't a negative financial forecast.
This is a forecast that shows the economy continuing to dig its way out of a recession, slowly improving.
Well, of course, not improving as quickly as they would like. Now, going back to the schools for a second, the state still owes more than $1 billion to the public schools, and right now there are no immediate plans to pay that money back. Now, as for the fiscal cliff, if Congress doesn't act, Minnesota could lose about $1.7 billion in revenue over these next couple of years. Reporting live in St. Paul at the Capitol, Delane Cleveland, 12 News.
All right, Delane, thank you very much.